gummy coming up.
No sponsor.
But it's always had gelatin in it. So I had to stop eating them. But this one doesn't have any gelatin.
Is that from Mexico?
Made in Spain, actually.
Yeah. Did you buy that at a corner store? Or you had to go to a specialty store for that?
I got that up there at the old racetrack up there.
Oh. Damn, that racetrack stock is the stock manager knows what he's doing. It's like, hey, get that case of Haribros. So listen, this episode is fucking crazy.
Dark.
It's fucking sad.
It's dark.
I don't even think Kimberly is gonna throw any jokes around. Like, in her honesty, it's I'm gonna go out on a limb here. All right, I'm gonna assume because I have to assimilate.
I still don't think that's the right way to use that.
I kind of like it though. I'm hip hop. I could
assimilates like
I could make that my name and become a rapper right now.
Right, and make it about assuming. God.
Well, what I mean is when you come up with the topic today is about Ottis Toole. I often wonder his last name, Toole. Like, don't be a tool. You ever heard that vernacular? People be like, "You're a tool."
Oh, wow, that's like a horrible thing if you're that.
Yeah,
that guy is crazy, Tom.
Well, I want to say this is one of the first homosexual serial killers.
Do you want to say because that's true, or are you just saying
I'm assuming
you're assimilating?
I'm assuming.
I'll use it incorrectly as well. So we're talking about Ottis Toole, but what about the other guy too, right? We got to talk about them together, or?
Well, yeah, he's going to be mentioned because that's his lover, and he was doing some crazy shit too.
Apparently.
But
this is more about him.
Well, it's going to touch on a lot of Florida topics, and we're going to watch this little doc about it, and basically, it talks about Adam Walsh. If you remember, Adam Walsh was was who's the guy? Who's his father?
John Walsh.
John Walsh,
America's Most Wanted.
If you grew up in the 80s and 90s,
that was the show.
Friday night.
It freaked me out so much, the reenactments that they had on there when I was little. That was one of the things that kind of scared me, the reenactments.
I've been watching the show Mindhunter.
Okay.
On Netflix. We talked a little bit about it. It's about FBI agents in the late 70s, and basically it's two FBI agents, but backed by the FBI, started researching serial killers and crazy spree crimes. Like, I guess at that time in the country, I think this is all due to overpopulation. There's more people, therefore there's more of these personalities. But before this time, the FBI really looked at killers for basically in a basic way. And what I mean by that is, this was a crime of passion.
Yeah.
Or this was a crime of finance, right? Like, this person ripped off somebody, so they killed somebody. I think there were a few serial killers, but because America was still rural. Oh, I said it.
Rural.
It was, there was only certain major metropolises.
Right.
Even within those cities, there wasn't a crazy population, so I don't think there were that many crazy people. But what I think starts to happen, and what you start to observe and see through the show, is that, like we speak about in our show when we speak about serial killers, it's the upbringing that facilitates a mindset that makes these motherfuckers crazy.
These traumas, scars.
Except if you're Jeffrey Dahmer. But the majority of time, it's a connection with your mother. It's some type of abuse from your father. It's some type of neglect, an abandonment disorder. And then from little, they start abusing animals. And then that evolves into craziness.
Right.
And this guy is the poster child of fucked up. Ottis Toole.
Yo.
Like, I absolutely feel horrible what he did to Adam Walsh. Like, that's a crazy thing to decapitate a little boy.
Yeah, man.
Steal him, first of all, then decapitate him. That is crazy. That puts enough passion into a father's heart for you to start a TV show for change. And imagine, it's unfortunate that Adam died, but if John wasn't in that seat.
He's like one of many for that Otis did. One of many, according to him.
He saved a lot of people for that show. But if you backtrack even beyond Adam, the fucked up shit that happened to Toole as a kid is sad.
And his friend too. What was the guy's name? The other guy's name?
I don't remember his name.
I forgot. And the other guy had a similar childhood.
Yeah.
Mom was promiscuous.
Lucas.
Dad either wasn't there.
Henry Lee Lucas was Toole's lover.
Right.
And he had a pretty fucked up childhood, but it wasn't anything compared to Toole.
It was bad. It was bad too.
I mean, Toole had a satanic, supposedly, this is all alleged shit that we read on the internet, but Toole, apparently, his grandmother was a Satanist.
Right.
So she called him the devil child since he was little and made him do rituals and brought him to like cemeteries. Then supposedly Toole's sister abused him. Then because
everybody raped him.
Even his dad would sell him and prostitute him out because I think at an early age, around 10 to 12, he started saying that, I think I'm gay, I'm homosexual.
Well, Toole's mother's boyfriend, the pimp, would sell him out. His dad was like legless because he got drunk and fucking lost his legs on some railway or something. Like he had like an accident because he was drunk and he lost his legs, so he was called legless or some shit like that. And he would sell something trivial to make money, and then but the boyfriend, uncle, is the guy who would do all the like horrible shit to him.
Wow. I mean, it's like,
so you grow up like that.
Can you feel bad for a person like that?
She forced him and his brother to watch her have sex.
The mother,
and he would get beat if he looked away. I don't know if I'm confusing his childhood with the other guy's childhood, but the other guy's childhood there was similar things happening with him.
Yeah.
So, man, this is just what happens when you're a horrible parent. It goes back to definitely figuring out if you want to contribute something to society or if you want to contribute something terrible to society or something good to society or something terrible.
I like the perspective of the character in Mindhunter, the 29-year-old FBI agent. You could tell that he's not as triggered emotionally by these horrific crimes when he's talking to the killers. He's almost becoming their friend, but he's taking an objective view of this because he feels like the more understanding he has about these killers, maybe the more sympathetic he is to their stories.
That sounds so impossible. I don't understand. I couldn't sit next to somebody when they tell me some of that crazy shit, because I listened to a lot of like there's some of the accounts where the guy talked about what he did. Otis talked about what he did, and I was freaking out sitting at my desk.
Yeah, bro.
How you gonna sit in man's? And apparently he did it in like a weird like way. You know, he had like an odd way about him, so he was already like fucking creep show from
super creep show.
The way he grew up. You know, again, is that his fault? I guess no. The way he grew up wasn't his fault.
I mean, he shouldn't be killing people.
But he shouldn't be doing shit. Somehow we gotta what do you do?
What do you
just
do?
Write him off, I guess, at that point, because according to that motherfucker, he killed all of them, got like hundreds of people apparently, if you believe him.
Together with his boy Lucas,
also
his
like
lover Lucas,
200 people, or so like they killed almost 1,000 people between the two of them, according to them. So it's like, wow, I think we should. I don't know. How do you?
They wouldn't kill family.
At that stage, didn't the other guy kill the girl?
Well, I know that Toole,
not Toole, the other guy. I think he killed. Yeah, he did. He definitely killed the cousin that he married or whoever.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure about Lucas, but I know Toole. He basically confessed to the Adam Walsh murder, if I remember this fact correctly, because he found out that, I think...
he felt betrayed, but I think he was in jail when he got arrested for some other shit.
Well, he said something to the extent of like...
But when he found out... Sorry, go ahead.
Because it was due to like his cousin that he had love for, and I think that she basically was the victim in the situation, and because of that, he chose to tell the full story.
He ran away.
And so the reason I'm bringing this point up is that even as crazy as a person like Toole, he still finds empathy, and he still has certain emotions when it comes to love, and that he wouldn't kill. Another good example of that show, man. I keep shouting out Netflix, but I've been binging Netflix. You got me going, bro. It's just serving it up like crack. That show,
I didn't watch it. I see it on social media.
So it's about a crazy boyfriend, again, abused as a kid, grows up, is super addicted to love, and because of that, he ends up killing people that are associated with the girl he loves because he thinks that these people are not good for her, and then he ends up killing the girl too.
Wait, spoiler alert. Well, I haven't seen the show, bro.
Sorry. You're still going to like it. The point is,
I don't know.
It's another way of like seeing it's wrong. Murder is wrong. Killing is wrong. But
it kind of humanizes them a little bit.
Yeah, bro.
Makes you kind of like feel for them and shit like that. Yeah, good shows do that. They'll humanize the villain.
Forget the show. Can that really exist? Can you have sympathy and empathy for people like this? Like, could that help us by being that way?
From an objective position, I think you can, and I think it does help. But I think if you're first person and you're in there and it affects you personally, I personally don't understand how that works. I can't picture myself doing an interview after, like the day of. I see sometimes something happens to a loved one somehow, and then that night they got the camera in their face and they're talking to the reporter. I just don't understand. I don't see how you're functioning. So
I'm intrigued by it though. I'm intrigued by listening.
Again, objectively, sure, but like if it happened to you, it's just like, I don't see how.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's the same thing that what starts to do too is like watching all these shows, like America's Most Wanted, like Unsolved Mysteries, all these reality-based documentaries, shows, whatever.
Yeah.
They start to give you this narrow vision of life. And you're like, damn, these people are really out here.
Yeah.
I got to lock my doors.
Yeah. It made me lock my doors.
I'm thinking about getting a fucking gun. And I think it's
looking at getting a gun.
Bro, it's because we've been maybe like, I've always watched these shows, but now doing this show and researching this stuff and having more of like an adult mindset and, an investigative mindset, I'm kind of open to maybe sitting with a serial killer and asking questions, even like the Brothers episode. Like if we ever start doing these real we're gonna launch this shit once you motherfuckers get up to 1,000 subscribers. We're gonna start doing our own, real life docs, and maybe it's good to have your energy in the room where you're being like super realist, and maybe I can try to take that, kind of what they did in that show, Mind Hunters, is like one guy is an older dude that's kind of set in his FBI ways. He gets very emotionally interrupted when the serial killers are telling their stories, and he's like reading right through the bullshit. He thinks it's a manipulation thing, where the other guy is just there as an observer, just absorbing everything and not trying to.
He is observer?
An observer. Like, I'm not going to personalize
absorbing observer.
Yeah, I'm not going to personalize this shit because I need to get the most out of this person and use. That's what he says in the show. I want to use. It's like using their mind so that we can train our FBI agents, so we can train our people,
catch the other people,
right? Or just like, damn, that like, what if we knew Toole now?
Yeah, man.
And we met him at 14, right? We met him at 10. And me and you seen the kid like, yo, why are you beating up that squirrel, bro? Come over here. What's your name, Toole? Like, yo, don't be a Toole.
Yo, this motherfucker was an alcoholic at 10 years old. How you be alcoholic at 10?
But what if somebody was there to divert that path? And if the more we evolve as humanity, where we could start, even pedophiles, man, we talked about this in Pedo's Playhouse. Check out that episode.
So do we think in this, I guess at least in, let's say in Florida, do we still have areas of Florida where a Toole can grow up and exist? Do we still have like a drifter who can kill that many people?
Once it gets to Toole that level, I don't know. But if we can figure it out at a young age.
No, I'm saying, are those guys still around in the world right now?
Toole's dead. He died of liver cancer.
No, bro, like a guy like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
you think there's a guy driving around right now?
Yes. And you know what's different now?
What?
I don't think he's just white anymore.
Right.
That's even crazier to me because
he's all kinds
we
of
used to
people.
stereotype this dude, but I think there's so much dysfunction in these houses and this society and these civilizations that it produces people like that. It's mothers that are not ready to have kids. I'm not saying this is across the board, but the majority of times you find a fucking crazy serial killer, he's had a fucked up childhood. So we find mothers that, man, I know women like this that are maybe not abusive, but over sexual. I know this girl that I follow on Instagram. I've known her for a long time. I think she's cool, but she's definitely very flirtatious. This bitch jumped in my bed one time. You know, when I had the house with Izzy, the Family Gang house, and I was like, "What are you doing in here?" Clearly looking for attention, right? Man, that's that vintage right there. We might throw those up merch. Still got a box of those, but this girl has 7 kids, bro, and with 7 kids, why are you out partying? You should not have time to party. I'm sorry, because you ain't got a great job. I know you ain't got a great job. And this is the type of person that's waiting for that income tax check. You know what I mean? That's very neglectful. Like her whole life revolves around the kids, right, to get funding, but doesn't revolve around the kids in order to give them a better structure. You know, she's still, and God bless her, maybe it's not her fault. Maybe she wasn't raised the right way. But people like that, in my opinion, are the habitats for serial killers.
Oh, like the little petri dish?
Yes.
It's where they grow and manifest and like kind of like culture and facilitate that kind of very it could, if psychotic, I guess, or whatever it can be, or it can facilitate something that's, you know, the complete opposite. Like,
yeah, but who cares about that? Because that's good people.
Those are good people.
We're trying to prevent motherfuckers like Toole from living.
Absolutely.
Like, that's why, like, if we evolve as a human race to be protective, to be inclusive, this is a way of.
So what is it? A parenting?
It is
a parenting,
and we
like
need structures within our education system, within society.
Well, the thing is, look, so I there's a thing called Parent Academy that they do every weekend. How do you make people go to that? How do you make bad parents go to that?
Bro, I think you should have at least a bachelor's degree before you become a parent.
That's a non-starter. Obviously, that's a non-starter. Everybody can't get a bachelor's degree. And it's not just because of like smarts or whatever. You gonna make bachelor's degree free? Okay, then we can start talking. But like everybody can't get a bachelor's degree. And a bachelor's degree in what? I can go like and get a bachelor's degree
in parenting. You need to spend at least like 4 years,
like a course that somebody develops and all that stuff.
And maybe it's on the weekends or whatever. But we need that in society, man.
I hear you. So there's a thing called Parent Academy, but like we can't make the parents go to it or you know.
Man, we got to Andrew Yang this, bro. We got to figure out.
Or do we say any kid who has X amount of this and Y amount of that, A, B, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your parent has to come in.
I'm not trying to endorse Andrew Yang, but I'm stealing his ideas right now. And we need to figure out how to monetize human nature in the sense of like, if you're a housewife, you don't make money. But if we give you this universal basic income that's not welfare, you know, we want to provide a value to your service when there is no quote unquote capitalistic way of giving you a value, because you're not providing a service that, like, you don't get paid to be a parent. But I think, you know, if we video game that shit to an extent, and
we still got to fix the problem though. I don't know. Money might help. Something.
But you're not just getting paid to show up. You got to show and prove. You know what I mean? We got to figure out ways to equalize society, not in like some socialist shit, but in like we don't have a lot of after school programs in
Right.
impoverished neighborhoods. You go to Chirac, you go
That'll
to the
help.
south side of Chicago, things that
That'll
there
help.
used to be. I think those little things that were taken away from society in the 80s.
Right. That'll help
late
for later.
70s.
That'll help for later. But for now, there's issues with the parents. Right. I think that's where they're doing things like the Tool. If they're doing things like fucking Tool's mom was doing, and the boyfriend, the pimps, and all of this shit, then that's the issue, right? Now.
Yeah. I will backtrack
with
a little
you,
bit.
though.
Like maybe you're right. Maybe we have evolved social service to the point where maybe it's not that bad. But there's got to be a small percentage of shit like that still happening.
I think so.
Those environments.
No, I know so, right?
Yeah.
There has to be. It doesn't just go away completely.
Yeah.
Because there's still kids that come through very hurt and scarred, That's why I started jumping on the freaking going to lunch with my little buddy train, I do like maybe once a week, once a couple weeks, go over there and just chop it up, just whatever's happening at home, wherever you get angry. Because
bro,
kids just get angry,
You got to dedicate your time, man. A lot of people just throw their kids in front of that video game.
And that's not helping, that box. I had a conversation about the box again all the time. I have to. I call it the box. It's anything that, any kind of like screen,
media,
any of that. It's just the box, man. It's like, it's fun and I want you to get it. And it's a good balance. You can get a good balance of it. But like, we got to go out here and look at this tree and this water, and we got to sprain our ankles, and we got to skin our knees, and we got to stand up for what we believe in, and we got to speak up when there's a problem. Not just, I keep fucking with him, telling him about his neck, get your neck, because there's, they're starting to get that fucking like, your eyes are going to be bad by the time you're 20.
Mad humans like that, man.
That movie WALL-E is like one of the greatest warnings to society. If you just watch WALL-E, it's the greatest warning to society ever. Just watch it and try to take it serious. Try not to look at it as a comedic, romantic comedy.
Is that what's going on?
The movie? You never seen WALL-E?
Nah.
Quick as I can. I'm not going to try to make this long, but like, there's a planet. It's a trash planet, right? And there's the only thing moving around on this trash planet is this tiny robot, WALL-E. WALL-E compacts the trash into little squares and stacks them, and then something comes and
picks them up. This is a cartoon.
It's an animated movie. At a certain point, another robot comes down. WALL-E falls in love. No. WALL-E finds fucking a plant growing on this planet where people didn't think there was any plants at all. The humans that were on that planet are now in space floating around, and have been for, I think, hundreds of years. At this point, the humans have devolved in, the skeletons got really small, but the body got a lot bigger. They're just floating around in chairs, getting fed like nutrients to live, and they're all like on their screen. So they're at the pool, but they're just like on their screen. So they're like virtually playing tennis instead of really playing tennis. And they're just like, everybody's getting fat and dumb, and like the brains are getting smaller, and everything's getting done for them by this like AI basically. Wow. It's like controlling them. So the the WALL-E finds like a plant in this planet. Another robot comes down. WALL-E falls in love with the new robot. The robot falls in love. They go up. They awaken certain humans, and they're like, "Oh, we should be doing more." And basically the movie. There's other shit happening, but
that's
you gotta,
fucking
like,
crazy.
That's a warning, man.
Oh, that is. It's like
fucking warning.
Idiocracy is like that too.
You got to do both things. You got to get out there and like work out and fucking like read books and move your ass. And
I mean, we used to hunt and gather.
Games.
That's what we were doing.
Video games too, but you got to do all of that shit. And then, but like I said, that's just a parenting thing to like teach your kids. And then, but then there's people that, smoke crack in front of their kid and do heroin in front of their kid. And then it sparks either another heroin addict or somebody who acts out at school because they're angry and they don't know what's going on. It's just like, you can mess up kids, but not just mess up kids. You can mess up 5 people's lives because that kid freaks out and kills people. Like, it's like more than irresponsible.
What's the real difference between killing people is killing people, right?
Killing people.
Is Ottis Toole Christopher Columbus? What separates their personality? Like, they're still predators, right? They're still killers, savages, but one uses like this like ambition and like new world and like I have to conquer. Seemed like a general, you know, that sends people out to kill people. So it's between him and Charlie Manson. You know what I mean?
I guess there's a lot of differences in all three of those guys, but they also have a lot of similarities. They did a lot of raping. I guess Manson never actually killed anybody.
Right. That we know about.
Right. Arguably. But, you know, the other two guys, I would say Columbus has more bodies on him.
Yeah, bro.
Than the other guys do. By a lot. Probably exponentially if you're counting like smallpox or whatever kind of like disease he brought over too. And the main difference between those three guys, a lot of people, more people than not, maybe, I don't know.
It's the context of your killing.
More people than not like Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
He's a hero.
It's a context killing.
So those are the differences.
They're all murderers, but it's like, oh, this guy's out here on the Nina and the Pizza arriving.
And then he's got songs. I think I performed a song in elementary school with a bunch of people about Christopher Columbus.
Such a crazy
They teach you to do it.
Species of
But apparently they don't
animal.
do that anymore. I think some schools, some teachers
Indigenous Day
do like the more realistic. But, you know, it's all times are changing. I mean, that's another good thing to remember about this particular story, Ottis Toole. I mean, the reason he got so bad with that dude is because when it happened, there wasn't, like you're saying, there wasn't like, because his shit, he was born in like the 30s, right? And he went to jail in all through there. That's another crazy thing. Like, he killed some people, went to jail, and it was like released.
Yeah.
Because of overcrowding.
Right. It was a crazy
You could
time.
just get released for murder?
Yeah.
Or overcrowding?
Yeah.
That shit was I had to read that shit like 3 times. I'm like, wait, I'm reading this wrong. Hold on. No, yeah. Oh.
And because he was white.
Oh, back then too. I can't remember what year that was though. Fucking. Anyway.
Get some facts going on here.
Let's go, Kimberly.
The murder of Adam Walsh. Adam John Walsh, November 14, 1974, July 27, 1981, was an American boy who was abducted from a Sears department store at the Hollywood Mall in Hollywood, Florida, on July 27, 1981. His severed head was found 2 weeks later in a drainage canal alongside Highway 60/Ehaw Junction in rural St. Lucie County, Florida. His death garnered national interest. His story was made into the 1983 television film Adam, seen by 38 million people in its original airing. His father, John Walsh, became an advocate for victims of violent crimes and was the host of the television program America's Most Wanted and currently, In Pursuit with John Walsh. Convicted serial killer Ottis Toole confessed to Adam's murder, but was never convicted for this specific crime due to loss of evidence and a recanted confession. Toole died in prison of liver failure on September 15, 1996. No new evidence has come forth since then, and on December 16, 2008, police announced that the Walsh case was closed as they were satisfied that Toole was the killer. Ottis Elwood Toole, March 5, 1947 – September 15, 1996, was an American drifter and serial killer who was convicted of 6 counts of murder. Like his companion Henry Lee Lucas, Toole made confessions he then later recanted, which resulted in murder convictions. The discrediting of the case against Lucas for crimes Toole had offered corroborating statements created doubts as to whether either was a genuine serial killer or, as Hugh Aynesworth suggested, both were merely compliant interviewees whom police used to clear unsolved murders from the books. Toole received 2 death sentences, but on appeal they were commuted to life imprisonment. He died in his cell from cirrhosis, aged 49. Police attributed the murder of Adam Walsh to Toole on the basis of recanted statements.
He looked so old.
Lucas had backed Toole's confession to the Walsh murder, claiming he had been in possession of the victim's severed head. Ottis Toole was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. Toole's father was an alcoholic who abandoned him, while his abusive mother would, according to Toole, dress him in girls' clothing and call him Susan. Toole claimed that, as a young child, he was a victim of sexual assault and incest at the hands of many close relatives and acquaintances, including his older sister and a next-door neighbor. He also claimed that his maternal grandmother was a Satanist who exposed him to various satanic practices and rituals in his youth, including self-mutilation and grave robbing, and dubbed him Devil's Child. Toole claimed this abuse began when he came out as homosexual to his family. Toole was often designated as suffering from mild mental retardation, with an IQ of 75. He also suffered from epilepsy, which resulted in frequent grand mal seizures. Throughout Toole's childhood, he frequently ran away from home and often slept in abandoned houses. He was a serial arsonist from a young age and was sexually aroused by fire. In the documentary Death Diploma, Toole claimed he was forced to have sex with a friend of his father's when he was 5 years old. He felt he knew he was gay when he was 10, and claimed to have had a sexual relationship with a neighborhood boy when he was 12. Toole dropped out of school in the 9th grade and began visiting gay bars. He also claimed to have been a male prostitute as a teenager, and became obsessed with gay pornography. Toole claimed to have committed his first murder at the age of 14, when after being propositioned for sex by a traveling salesman, Toole ran over the salesman with his own car. Toole was first arrested at the age of 17 in August 1965 for loitering. Much information on Toole between 1966 and 1973 is unclear, but authorities believe that he began drifting around the southwestern United States and that he supported himself by prostitution and panhandling. While living in Nebraska, Toole was one of the prime suspects in the 1974 murder of 24-year-old Patricia Webb. Shortly after, he left Nebraska and briefly settled in Boulder, Colorado. 1 month later, he became a prime suspect in the homicide of 31-year-old Ellen Holman, who was murdered on October 14, 1974. With many accusations against him, Toole left Boulder and headed back to Jacksonville. In early 1975, Toole returned to Jacksonville after drifting and hitchhiking through the American South. On January 14, 1976, he married a woman 25 years his senior. She left him after 3 days, after discovering his homosexuality. Toole said during an interview his marriage was a tactic meant to conceal his true sexuality. On October 21, 1983, while imprisoned for 2 unrelated murders, Toole confessed to the 1981 murder of 6-year-old Adam Walsh. A few weeks after Toole made the confession, however, police investigating the case announced that they had lost Toole's impounded car and machete. John Walsh, Adam's father, continued to maintain that he believed Toole to be guilty. On December 16, 2008, 27 years after the 1981 murder, Hollywood, Florida, police announced Toole as the murderer, and the Adam Walsh case was closed. The police did not reveal any new physical evidence and pointed out that they still had no DNA evidence. In 1984, Toole confessed to 2 unsolved Northwest Florida slayings, including one of the I-10 murders. During an interview, he admitted to killing 18-year-old David Schillert, a hitchhiker he picked up east of Pensacola. Schillert's body, bearing 5 gunshot wounds in the left side of the head, was found on February 6, 1980, approximately 125 feet, 38 m, off I-10's eastbound lane, 5 miles, 8.0 kilometers, east of Chipley. The second confession involved the death of 20-year-old Ada Johnson. Toole confessed that he shot her in the head on a road outside of Fort Walton Beach after kidnapping her at gunpoint at a Tallahassee nightclub. Psychiatrists Dr. Urbina and Dr. Sanchez testified at Toole's 1984 Florida Supreme Court appeal that he was extremely impulsive and exhibited antisocial behavior as a result of a personality disorder and that he was a pyromaniac. The court found sufficient evidence that Toole was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Toole claimed to have picked Walsh up in a Sears Mall parking lot. Toole said he offered him candy and toys and that Walsh came willingly. Walsh soon wanted to go home and began crying. Toole said he then punched him in the face. Walsh started crying more, and according to Toole, he began to wallop Walsh, knocking him out. Toole eventually pulled over in a rural area and decapitated Walsh with a machete. He drove around for several days with Walsh's head, forgot about it, and, upon rediscovering it, tossed it into a nearby canal. Police inexplicably lost Toole's impounded car and its blood-stained carpeting, hindering their ability to proceed with the investigation. Hollywood, Florida Police Chief Chadwick Wagner said Ottis Toole had been the prime suspect all along, but went on to admit that although Toole's case was weak, he could have been charged during the original investigation. Wagner acknowledged that many mistakes were made by the department and apologized to the Walsh family. Public critics of the indictment who argue that lack of new, public, evidence, and the inability of the defendant to defend himself of the allegations, leaves no definitive claim to his guilt. To this Wagner has stated, if you are looking for that magic wand, that one piece of evidence, it's not there. 13 However, by re-examining previously uncorrelated evidence, police and the Walsh family were satisfied with the new report and existing evidence that points only to Ottis Toole. In response to the naming of his son's alleged murderer, John Walsh stated, "We can now move forward knowing positively who killed our beautiful little boy." The decision was finally reached once Toole's niece told John Walsh that her uncle confessed on his deathbed in prison that he had murdered and decapitated Adam. The book Frustrated Witness, written by former Miami Herald writer Willis Morgan, examines the Walsh case and cites circumstantial evidence that suggests that another serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer, may have killed Walsh. At the time of Walsh's murder, Dahmer was living a short drive away in Miami Beach and working at a sub shop where he had access to a blue van similar to the one seen leaving the mall after Walsh's disappearance. A number of witnesses reported seeing a man looking like Dahmer at the mall talking to young boys. When interviewed about Adam in the early 1990s, Dahmer repeatedly denied involvement in the crime, even stating, "I've told you everything, how I killed them, how I cooked them, who I ate. Why wouldn't I tell you if I did someone else?" After this rumor surfaced, John Walsh stated that he had seen no evidence linking his son's kidnapping and murder to Dahmer.
Now, did Dahmer look like Otis?
I mean, they're like tall, straggly white guys. So
to some, maybe they look similar.
When we did the Father's Fault, I don't think that was a fact that we brought up, and that Dahmer was related to Florida as far as maybe he did do some stuff here because he was living in Miami. Another thing is the way police want to just close these cases, and they're like, "Oh, we got this murderer," and maybe it was a thing that they used to do back then.
You ever watch The Wire?
Yeah.
Remember how they used to like, "God damn, I'm in the red." You know, it's like it's a job.
Yeah,
they gotta clear those cases. And if I don't want to say that, I don't know. That happens in real life, but I think it fucking happens, right?
Well, and guys like this that end up getting arrested, they get a celebrity type of respect when they're in jail. Mm-hmm. A lot of them get since we talked earlier that they associated almost 100 people and together with his lover, over 200 people that they possibly killed. Every couple months, they would be like, "Oh yeah, I know about this other murder. Just take me to this place." So they would take them out of the prison, give them some outside food, go to this field and be like, "Yeah, I decapitated him." But you don't know if they really did the murder or not. Maybe they're just using it. Right. It's a game.
Said Otis said he killed 600 people, something like that, driving all over the country, Illinois.
I think it was 100 per him and 200 for him.
I think Otis said more than that, like a lot more than that, driving all over the country, like Cali, Illinois, Michigan, the New Orleans.
I mean, it had to be something casual. He left Adam's head in the car and forgot about it.
And then him and the other guy did the same thing. They used to just kill people and rape people. And a lot of times, apparently, they would do it after they were dead already. They would have, he said he was into boys, but he would do a girl in the butt, too, because a girl's butt is just as good as a boy's butt.
Wow.
But he wouldn't,
Yeah, man, that's fucked up. People got to be parenting. We have to learn how to parent.
They'd be dead, though, Peens. They'd be dead. Like after the head's cut off type shit.
Yeah. The blood, and it's just casual. That's what I'm saying. Like,
and he forgot about
the level
he forgot about the head.
Of fucked up shit that he was.
That's why it took 3 weeks to find, because he was like, "Oh, there it is."
He probably didn't have mental retardation, like Kimberly said in the fact. He was just so fucked up psychologically from all the shit he's seen that maybe he's just out of it, bro.
He's broken. Like, even taking the test to find out if you have what IQ. Can you imagine, a guy like that taking a test, a math test?
I mean, he had to have some type of luck or intelligence to be doing. If he killed over 400 people, get away with it.
Well, it was the 70s. It was he started. He ran over the dude when he was 14. He was born in the 30s. 36, right? He was born in 36. I think something like that. 47. So 14 years after that, 57. 61? Is that what that is? Anyway, early 60s, runs over somebody, right? Kills them. So he starts killing then. The type of technology that was out to catch people, it was a lot easier to get away with killing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then he traveled the South. Spreading his DNA through prostitution, robbery, and just general sex fun. But according to him, he was killing people.
Attila the Hun. This guy was Attila the Hun by himself.
He was just killing people, traveling different places. Apparently, up in Illinois or Michigan somewhere, one of the Bundy bodies was he said he did one of the Bundy bodies or something like that. The Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
That's what he said during the fucking thing. So.
Bro, Florida produces
this
these motherfucker, bro.
Jacksonville.
And if you're not born here, you're going to come down here and
Duval
do dirt.
County.
Man. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into this biography about Ottis Toole. Sometimes this materials, they do get copyright strikes. So if this does happen to get a copyright strike and we upload it, we're going to re-upload just a portion of me and Thompson speaking scholarly.
And we'll try to catch you up on what happens during it, during the time you can't see. So we'll see how it works.
Yeah, and we will be leaving a link in the description to the full podcast that'll sit on another server that we can't get copyrighted from. So just make sure to check out the full link if you happen to realize that this episode gets cut short for some reason. But we do love all the engagement. We've been fucking killing it lately, man. Like the subscribership is getting crazy. But let's get into this Ottis Toole doc.
Stack it up, go to 6-2.
Not much has changed in the sleepy little town of Bonifay. Nestled off Interstate 10 in Florida's Panhandle, this rural country is known more for its slow southern style than for murder.
They kill people by various means, for unknown or no reason.
It was a long time ago, more than 2 decades, but there are folks here that still remember the moment when an ill wind blew through town.
I remember that she was killed at home, and later on they said that probably a man got off the train and went out there and done it.
Geraldine Peoples, just 18, was coming home from the grocery store.
And they heard her drive up.
Inside, her killers waited.
The girl couldn't defend herself. She was 2 hands full of groceries, walked in, and they were caught in the house, commenced to shoot her. They didn't want to get caught.
A month later, Brenda Burton, a wife and mother, was found stabbed to death in her bathroom. The next month, a few miles away in Chipley, Ruby McCary was shot through her screen door. 3 murders in 3 months. It was as if a wave of evil washed over this town, then, just as quickly, went away. Just down the road on Interstate 10, newly elected Sheriff John McDaniel got a call from his officers to respond to a robbery in progress.
We had an armed robbery. We think we've got one trapped in the building. We may have one down. We're not sure what we've got.
The robbery was at a gas station just outside of Marianna. It was early in the morning, December 15th, 1980.
I arrive at the scene, and I get out, and as I'm starting to approach the little store, one of the officers comes toward me, and the look on his face was just unbelievable. And he said, "We've got one down." So I kept moving forward, and as I did, I began to see the opening of the door, and I saw a man's feet, and then I saw some trousers, and then I saw a man with a goatee, and it was my father.
He had been beaten with a tire iron and shot. Sheriff McDaniel's father died hours later. 250 miles east on I-10, the Jacksonville Police Department had its hands full. 8 unsolved murders over 3 years, including Deborah O'Quinn.
This was a case of an 18-year-old young lady that was sexually battered and stabbed to death in her apartment over in the south side of town. Her body wasn't initially recovered. It was recovered almost a year later at a dump site, and she was actually skeletal at the time, so a lot of your potential physical evidence associated with the body was gone.
A trail of crime from one end of Florida to the next, seemingly unrelated, all unsolved, destined for the cold case file. The 8 murders in Jacksonville, the women in Bonifay, the sheriff's father.
You want to solve every case, especially one that involved one of your family members.
Not once in nearly a decade did police suspect they might have a serial killer in their midst. Not once could they have imagined 2 killers working together, roaming the countryside from coast to coast. The idea was beyond belief.
But in my experience dealing with serials, working them, interviewing them, they tend to stay in a certain methodology with slight changes because it's a learning process along the way. They get a little bit better at it. They get a little more comfortable with it. This is different. This is bizarre. Could we have another possibility?
They killed at random. No evidence, no motive. In Oklahoma, a woman was stabbed 42 times.
God damn!
A woman
You don't get tired?
strangled, then raped in Louisiana.
I really
Yo,
think this
you don't
was
get
the
tired?
first gay couple serial killer.
Wait, hold on. Before we attack the sexuality of them, the fucking 42 times.
Yeah.
Stabbing somebody 42 times.
That's fucking that's like
Hold on a
cardio.
second.
You have to have good cardio
Give me a
stamina.
second. All right. This might take a second.
Okay.
I'm going to try. Are we ready?
Yeah, at
Do we
least
wanna-
42 seconds. Maybe you could do 2 in a second. 1 1,000, 2 1,000.
I'm going to try not to bang this thing, too.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42. And you know that's not just happening in one
they're
spot.
fighting.
Oh,
in there.
man.
That took me like 7 seconds, 10 seconds,
Probably like 20 seconds.
20 seconds. I wasn't breathing through it
Yeah.
either. And they got like liquor.
Bro,
in
you're
it.
a vegan. These guys are on fucking straight liquor and just like sweat.
And anger. And cigarettes. It was cigarettes and coffee apparently too.
305's a Miller High Life.
One of those guys, I feel like it was Otis. He would, because one of them was really good with their hands as far as like a handyman type shit. But he would only stop for coffee and cigarettes. That was his only
That's what
vices.
That was just like that's what he ate and lived off of.
That's what he like worked off of. But he also drank heavily. That's why he died of liver cirrhosis at 49. He was an alcoholic by the age of 10. How do you 42 times. Anyway, that's what I was thinking.
My thing is,
now when you was talking
they
about
killed the sheriff's father and just got it was their nonchalant casualness that allowed them to get away with this stuff. They're not freaking out. They're not driving. They're like,
it's regular.
Just killed the dude.
No,
put
but
the gas. Chill him.
a lot of times they would like kill somebody and then rape them too.
Yeah,
and just sort of like wait around, and then the other guy would rape, but like after that,
debauchery on top
like
of
double
debauchery.
rape somebody.
I wonder if they're like, you know how like in trades you're like, nah, I gotta go first.
I don't know, man.
Does that even matter after the blood's everywhere?
I feel like Otis probably got dibs on most of that shit. Because he seemed to be, they were both fucked up individuals, but he seemed to be like the one
creme
that
of the
was
creme.
like, wow, there's something wrong with Cat.
Bro, somebody's got to be good at even the worst things in life.
Right. He was like Jordan, and the other guy was like Pippen.
Yeah.
He was like his Pippen. He set him up
That's crazy.
to knock him down.
There's not like some gay basketball players we can get like together.
I'm sure there are a ton of gay basketball players
we know about.
that
the
we
guy
know
that was
about.
twerking.
He was an English guy. There was an English guy that was twerking. Who
There's a twerker out there, NBA twerker.
does twerking make you gay?
It was in like it was just very feminine in the way he was doing it.
Does being effeminate make you gay?
I don't know.
I don't think it does.
Nah.
I don't think so.
That's true. There's a lot of metro people that I would think are gay, but they're just like,
Man, they get the most poussoir you ever got in your life.
you gotta ask yourself what type of poussoir they're getting though. Woman's attracted to that.
It might be good.
Bitch, you need a man in your life. That's what I tell my girlfriend every night.
Right? Just remind her so she doesn't forget. So up to this point right now, we're just finding out that they're going on a killing spree.
Yeah.
Together. So they're already together, but there's like a weird I feel like there's a deeper documentary.
Guns, knives, and dicks out. You think they sword fight?
Yeah, I'm sure. I
with a knife,
bet
not
they
with
was like
penises.
riding around just jacking each other off and like
Oh,
just like
man.
all sorts
With
of
blood?
just like
Yesterday's blood?
I
Is that
guess so.
yesterday's blood on you,
they
Otis?
would like, oh, I forgot.
We're some sick
Cosmo
people.
word about
We just developed comedy on this shit.
sexual. It happened, man. It happened in the streets of Florida. So that's what we're here to talk about.
I think the reason why we add comedy to context to
coping
all these
mechanism.
yes.
Coping mechanism.
You ever seen a gangster that's shot and killed mad people? It's funny to them.
Yeah, man. It's a coping mechanism. If you can't, I mean, and also back to a point we made earlier, it's because it didn't happen to us. So call that fucked up, I guess, if you feel like it, for us making content out of it, or at least trying to make content out of it. But I think it really happened. I think there's lessons. We're trying to at least try to give lessons throughout all of this, which is be a good parent. Look at all you gotta do is show up and not, have sex in front of them and not beat them, and just do general
Don't call your son Susan.
Well, unless he wants to be called Susan, and don't force him to wear dresses to school. Apparently, one time, her name was Viola. I think his mom was named. She sent him to school in a dress, right? And one of the teachers saw him getting made fun of, and like switched out the shit, right? When Viola saw that he didn't have the dress on, she went and cussed out the teacher.
Intense.
That's the parenting that's happening.
So
there.
was she a good mother?
Huh?
Maybe she knew he was. Oh, you want to be a cross-dresser? I got you.
Nah. I think she was. How there's like, people with trauma. Then they just go that route because of the trauma, and then there's some that are just born that way or whatever. This guy was definitely like made into something, a killer. Like she bred and grew up and like made a killer. Yeah, a psychotic, like fucking dead people.
The mother, I mean the grandmother.
The grandmother that really messed them up. Are we going to talk about the black? What is it called? The Black Hand? Are we going to talk about that?
I don't know what that is. Maybe.
So let's play. We'll see if it comes up. I don't know if it's the Black Hand. It's something like that.
In Illinois.
Again, I left it.
But the most explosive and most publicized case centered around the kidnapping, torture, and beheading of a wide-eyed, freckle-faced little boy named Adam Walsh.
I always say if you could order the son out of a catalog, that would be the little boy you would order. And I loved him more.
On some fate shit, I hate I'm going to say this. John Walsh ever sees this, I apologize. And I'm coming from a place of like understanding. And why is it always got to be like the nicest kid in the world? Is that a media side to it? Is that his way of developing John? That is developing a real story.
What do you mean?
The kid is a cute little kid.
Okay.
My beautiful son, my perfect son. I could have ordered my son out of a catalog.
Yeah. I'm confused about what you're...
No kid's perfect. No kid's that perfect.
But why the fuck would you say that now? The kid's dead. That's like talking about Nipsey Hussle. He's just dead. What good is it?
Because like
there's no reason to even like...
Maybe it's because I feel sorry for Ottis and the way he grew up. He's a crazy motherfucker. Yes, he deserves to be in jail. But it's like, because Adam was so perfect, because he came out of a catalog, not to mention that this motherfucker killed like 400 people, we need to figure out a way to digest things like this better so that we can find personalities like Toole at a young age, and not just be such a throwaway culture. We're a throwaway culture. Like, throw away this guy. Like,
I don't think him thinking his son was amazing or whatever, perfect, is a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. But when we sell it like that, it creates this narrative. And he's just a kid.
What narrative?
The narrative of psychos are fucking killers. Psychos are not human.
Okay.
Psychos are just born that way.
Okay.
Society
does that creates that narrative when he say that he's the perfect kid?
Yeah.
How?
Because that's what makes you feel like, oh, this is a piece of shit. Like this guy.
You think it's so if you think that's just him showing the kid love because he loved the kid.
Yeah, no, that's
all
obvious.
Parents,
that's obvious. That's obvious.
All people in general, there's nobody going to go on the television, even the people that didn't know the kid, and going to say like, the kid really couldn't read that well, and he always colored outside the lines or whatever. So it's good that he's gone or something.
No, it's never good that they're
I know. Gone. So I understand. Like he's going to say this. Everybody's going to say the kid was awesome and perfect and whatever. Yeah. And it doesn't make the guy killing him any worse.
No, it makes society hypocritical. It makes society like we're not being honest. We're not being fully honest.
No, you're saying the good things about somebody that's dead and gone. there's no need to be. Same thing with Charlemagne. There's ways to say things that we don't have to say the whole bad thing. So he couldn't color very well.
So you
don't bring it up because he's dead.
But so you
what?
only say that.
You say the good things.
But when it's a bad person, you don't ever bring up what I'm talking about. Like
when it's a bad person.
When it's a bad person, you're like, man, that's fucked up. He killed this little kid and he killed that beautiful young lady in Jacksonville. He killed 8 of them. Yeah. He killed the sheriff's father.
See, he had a nice goatee.
I'm having trouble describing this, but we're not at the beginning of things. We're always at the end of things. And if we, as a society, start looking at things at the beginning, like, oh shit, we knew Toole was gonna be like that. Like, and obviously this is in the 70s, so it's harder. It's easier for people like that to slip to the cracks. But now as a society, we got to stop doing the Adam Walsh shit.
We got to stop praising the dead?
No, we in some respects we have to give respect to the dead, but when it comes to shit like this, we have to figure out
so
the criminal.
Because I'm not quite understanding. Just do his interview just now, but do it how he should have, how we should do it.
We shouldn't be even focusing on interviewing this guy. We shouldn't even be focused on Adam. If we really want change in our life, we need to focus on Toole.
Okay.
By adding this stuff, you're creating an objective to certain people. Like, remember how you were saying when you walk into that, I couldn't sit down with a serial killer because I'm going to compartmentalize this, create an emotional attachment because I'm fucking human, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not helping anything out. What's helping shit out is being the objective person, being the understanding person, maybe not sympathetic to the murders, but understanding what makes a person like that tick. And if we want to change that, we need to focus on the person and not the victims. Unfortunately, it's sad. We know it's fucked up, but we've had plenty of victims. We've had Casey Anthony's, we've had Adam Walsh's. This happens all the time. You know what I mean? But when the media over promotes this perfect shit, and the kid is human. He was a regular kid. I understand, of course, the father has to big up. That's typical shit. It's your son. We know you have to do that. So you're saying
don't do the interview?
Yeah. We got to move
just
past that because we're glamorizing
interviews.
We're glamorizing it to that, and we're making him into this.
That's kind of what I said earlier. Killer. I didn't understand. That's what I said. I didn't say we shouldn't do it. I just say I don't see how. That right there I could never be sitting there and unless somehow I knew that it was helping something, which he did though. His defense,
his work
anomaly, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like we're a victim culture. Mm-hmm. We're a victim culture, and I'm not saying we should promote and have respect for these killers, but if we want to eliminate those type of personalities as much as we can, we're fucking human. We're part of nature.
Yeah, but people don't want to humanize them at all. People don't want to.
We're going to humanize transsexuals. If we're going to humanize homosexuals, if we're going to humanize even pedophiles. So if we want society to change and we want to, because these personalities existed in the past. I still
don't want to when we talk about these things, homosexuals or transsexuals aren't the same thing as pedophiles and killers.
No, the reason I bring them up is because 20 years ago we didn't accept that lifestyle, and we start to. Why? Because we're inclusive now. We're understanding.
Right, but not about people who hurt other people.
I'm using it as a definition for different mentalities.
It's the same conversation we had before. I'm just, I want to say that again.
Yeah. Well, you're right, because it's different completely.
Yeah.
But on the ground level, it's the way we think.
Sure.
It's what
societal
triggers us
thing and all that.
to be persons. Who are we as people? You know what I mean?
To be persons.
Yeah, we're persons. Everybody has a personality. Mm-hmm. And that personality, 9 times out of 10, comes from a habitat.
Right. We'll humanize people here, but we're never going to let it be okay.
It's never going to be okay, but we have to understand it and be objective so that we can make change.
Yeah, again, we got to attack those parents, bro.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah, man.
If your kid is at school acting the ass, then you got to come to class on Saturday.
That rhymed.
Sunday, maybe, depending on how bad your kid was. So,
yeah.
But then if a kid comes to school beat up, now we got to go to the house and really talk to the parents. Parents, like, I hear a lot of crazy stories. I know a couple teachers. I sleep next to one. It's like there's some crazy parents out there, dog, that got the same trauma that happened to them, and they're passing it right on to their kids.
Recycle, man. Recycled energy.
It's not quite having sex in front of them and pimping them out, but I'm sure there's a percentage of kids in Florida that it's happening to.
A large. We're a fucked up society.
Hopefully,
bro.
It's not a large percentage.
Bro, we're a fucked up society. I mean, not to the level that are maybe producing a lot of tools, a lot of Ottis tools, but still, we're producing people that are fucked up.
I mean, I know we got a lot of human trafficking in Florida.
Yeah, man.
Busted. Anyway.
And I just want to say RIP to Adam Walsh. And I never meant it in a disrespectful way. I just meant it as a way that society regurgitates these stories and it becomes the same old archetype, the same old, oh, this person was perfect and that's what makes this person a monster. But if we want to change the monsters, we really got to be objective to it because the obvious is the obvious. You know what I mean? We understand that. You know what I mean? But RIP to Adam Walsh.
Than anything in the world.
John Walsh and his wife Reve have replayed that day over and over. One moment, Adam is playing video games at a Sears store. The next minute, he's gone, vanished. There were shoppers all around, even a security guard. It was the middle of the day, yet no one really saw much of anything.
Unfortunately, none of them panned out, and we really don't think we have a good, solid witness that saw what happened to Adam.
The sun went down, the store closed, and Adam was nowhere to be found.
Reve put signs all over the car. Adam, we're still looking for you. Adam, please stay here. Anything. And, when nightfall came, it was unbearable because now it wasn't light out anymore. And that's when the harsh reality comes in that your things are not going the right way. It's unbearable.
A massive search was launched. Helicopters looked from above, while friends of the Walshes, even strangers, walked through fields, combed the area, hoping for a sign or a clue, but none came.
We'd appreciate anyone with any information about him or
Imagine walking up on a head, bro.
Think they saw him to please.
Like walking around in the
Find
bush.
a body, yeah.
You
or
walk
just
up on the
bones,
head.
just anything.
Yeah, never mind. I don't even know.
Call the Hollywood police.
Where was Adam?
Yo, Florida is the ugly stepsister to California Hollywood.
It would be a while before this man would say he knew where Adam
Now, Miami, Florida is way better than Miami, Ohio. That's all I'm saying.
was, and
You
the
ever been
others
to Miami,
too.
Ohio?
Sucks.
Was it possible? Could one man be the
Never
common
been there,
thread
but I just know.
between all
Oh,
these
no.
murders? Locked in a prison cell for burning down 2 buildings, a 2-bit arsonist in Florida, a man named Ottis Toole, began confessing.
I mean, he is the poster child of some weird ass bad. Like, that's a tool.
He said some fucked up shit, man.
Look at that field goal.
To murder. Confessing to killing the women in Bonifay, the sheriff's father, even the brutal slaying of 6-year-old Adam Walsh. Was he really capable of such heinous acts? According to local lore in Jacksonville, Florida, Toole's hometown, as a young boy, he could be found wandering among the tombstones, digging for bones, doing the devil's work. After his mother died, a 34-year-old Toole would sometimes sleep on her grave.
I really got into devil worship all the way.
When he's asked about his crimes, he moves as in a trance and then gleefully confesses to murder.
Some of them's been cut wide open, and some of them's been with a head, arms, and legs, and all that cut up.
Detectives searched his face looking for a sign of the rottenness inside, looked into his eyes, and swore they saw Satan himself.
I mean, his background is such that if you saw this man walking down the street, you're probably going to pick up the phone and dial 911.
Ottis Toole was born March 5, 1947 in Jacksonville, Florida. He was raised in a neighborhood of boarded-up houses and little opportunity. Ottis was the youngest of 5 kids. According to prison records, his alcoholic father deserted them, and his mother admitted she couldn't handle him.
He had no education. He couldn't hardly read. And he was just kind of limited to what he could do.
He had an IQ of 75, barely able to read and write. He ran away from home when he was 9. By 13, Toole was busted for breaking and entering. He was in and out of boys' schools. He survived on the street by selling himself, and he could be found dressed in female attire.
Antisocial personality, some sexual deviance.
Antisocial prostitute.
Illiterate, transient kind of lifestyle. He was homosexual and would just float around from relationship to relationship.
He had no morals. Toole had no morals. It was obvious.
Toole was trouble with a capital T, and trouble seems to always find trouble. So it was no real surprise when he hooked up with a convicted murderer, Henry Lee Lucas.
Bro, these guys' faces, bro.
Damn, that gene
their
pool,
face
bro.
alone should be an alarm to run the fuck away, bro.
These guys got married.
Kitchen in Jacksonville, soon became lovers, and moved in together at Toole's mother's house. Lucas had killed his own mother when he was 23.
They had nothing to do but travel around and roam around. And apparently they had no gainful employment. They just went around stealing and moving on, trying to stay ahead of the game.
Stealing, raping, murdering, and moving on.
And what a deadly game they played until their capture in 1983. Lucas was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison in Texas for the murder of 9 people. Toole was picked up for arson in Florida. Now they played with police, sending them down a dozen different pathways, drawing pictures of their victims, and boasting about their murders.
Drawing horrible pictures of their victims.
I've killed by strangulation, I've killed by knifings, I've killed by hit and runs, shootings, robberies, hangings,
shoot that barber.
This guy's a multitasker.
It became a gruesome game of one-upmanship.
Some of them would be shot in the head, back of the head.
I mean, listen, it's fucked up to say, but everybody deserves love.
Okay, that's not fucked up to say.
No, in this case, it's fucked up to say. Like, these guys, like, genuinely, like, loved each other. They were made for each other. They're soulmates.
I doubt they loved each other,
bro. God will make soulmates out of anything.
I really doubt they loved each other.
You don't think so?
I don't think either one of them has any concept of what love is.
Nah, they were together. They were
that
lovers.
Anything. It was like just there's 2 people together. They walked together. Like the guy said, they floated around.
What's Ellen's girlfriend's name?
Portia.
Bro, this is Portia and Ellen. Of the murder serial game.
What are you even talking about? That doesn't make any sense.
They're a power couple within the serial killer realm.
Okay, I can see that, I guess.
Yeah. Bro, they're good at what they did. Listen.
They were great at what they do.
Again,
apparently.
Captain Obvious to the whole world. We know that they're murderers and serial killers, and we have to look at them like piece of shit monsters. We get that. But on top of that, if you just put them, these guys could have been the gay brothers on home shopping network. What the fuck, the HGTV? Are they gay?
I don't
Are
know.
they just brothers?
I don't know what you're talking about.
These guys could have been the eye and design. These guys, if they weren't murdering people, maybe they were designing houses.
Shopping
and
network
shit.
show or something.
Regardless,
like that.
They were power couple.
Okay.
This guy is Sigmund and Freud.
Yeah, but like they were in a dysfunctional relationship. If that's a relationship, I don't think they were like
dysfunctional.
I don't think they were together. I don't think they were together.
You don't think playing with tigers and seeing your man get mauled is dysfunctional?
That's a business model that worked for years until they got attacked.
Work is work. Whether you get paid for it. These guys survived off
I doubt
this
they knew what love was because they had no concept of it because they never got it as children. So
they loved each other.
They didn't know what love was. They can't love each other if they didn't know what love was. They're killing people and raping people in front of each other.
No, you can still understand what love is even if you're a psycho.
No, I'm not a smart man, but I kill a lot of people.
You don't have to, you can have an IQ of 10 and know what love is.
That's
My
true.
dog knows I love it.
Forrest Gump had a low IQ and he knew what love was.
I think Cosmo has a higher IQ than some people I know, but regardless, he's a dog.
I would say you could think you know what love is because but you don't actually know what it is.
Why don't you think they were in love?
Because they didn't have any concept of what love was, man. They're just murdering people.
If they take care of each other, okay, if they look out for each other, they
first
feed
chance
each
they
other.
got, they gave each other up. But the one guy gave the other guy up. Lucas gave the
But
other
when
guy
you
up.
find out the context of that, they were trying to do that so that they can get incarcerated together. They would use these little manipulation tactics, like, oh, I'll tell you about this murder, but I want this, and I want this, and eventually they were trying to escalate that to a prison transfer where they could share. Have you ever seen Shameless? Mm-hmm. We talked about this before, but Marty and
I didn't see that season, but yeah, they try to get together, right?
They ended up in jail together. What a fucking great place! Like we no longer have to kill anybody. We can hang out in this place. We got 3 hots in the cots, and then we can top each other.
I mean, it's good for some people for sure. I've seen many not many. I've seen like 3 documentaries where, and including this one. I don't know if it's this one, but one of these where they say, "Hey, man, I'm in jail. I got the best little boys around. Blah blah blah. It's all good. I'm out here just getting drunk and laid."
Yo,
basically,
a castle is a castle as long as it's got 4 walls and love.
Perspective, I guess.
4 walls and love.
Yeah. Again, I don't know if they actually know what love is.
I think they loved each other. I think they were soulmates. Again, I'm going to spoil it for you. You got to watch the show You, but that's what the U's about.
Got married. He got married to other people.
Because they were trying to fit into society's rules. They were like, even though we're psycho killers, we got to like at least assimilate. They were assimilating.
I think they thought they knew what love was, but they didn't know what love was.
That's what I'm saying. Assimilating, assuming is the
They
same
don't know
shit.
They did not love each other because they were murdering people. People who murder people don't know what love is. They knew what love was, and they loved somebody. They wouldn't do the shit that they do, I guess.
I think they still have the capacity. All humans have the capacity of love. It's just the
you got
perception
the capacity of it. You could be in love.
Why didn't they murder each other?
Because they were doing the same shit. They needed each other's help.
They loved each other. They're like, yo, damn, you sliced the shit out of that throat. Yo, you see that pump action when you were fucking her when she was dead, bro? I never tried that. You inspire me.
They were in love, bro.
They were one up in each other. That's love.
That's true.
Love for the game.
Love for the game, maybe. Love for themselves.
Serial killer
survival.
gay games.
Come down to it. They're not going to sacrifice themselves.
Bro, if they were a character...
They weren't... That's what love is. Sacrificing yourself
let's bring this context.
for the other person.
If they lived in the medieval times, they would have been respected. Maybe even during the Roman times. These guys were merciless killers and they ass fuck each other.
But nah, they did that to everybody.
You don't think Columbus loved anybody? Why would you even question it if it's Columbus? See the way your mind has been built into that shit? You did the tss, that's enough time for you to question if Columbus could love somebody. Columbus was a mass murderer, and yeah, he could still love somebody. Hitler loved people. All murderers have the capacity of loving somebody. It's in you, bro. You're human.
Okay. I agree with that.
Oh, man.
It's just like
Fresh Produce motherfucking podcast.
I agree with that.
There's no difference.
Lucas bragged to police that he killed more than 600 men, women, and children.
God damn!
What-
God damn! God damn!
I told you.
That's a lot of people!
Wait, Lucas said that. Go back.
Every type of crime, I've done it.
It became a gruesome game of one-upmanship.
Some of them would be shot in the head, and back of the head, and behind the ear, and in the chest.
It's just like going out and butchering a hog, really. There's no difference.
Lucas bragged to police that he killed more than 600 men,
I thought that was
women,
Otis
and
that
children.
said that.
Toole claimed
600 men,
125.
women,
Right.
and children.
Toole claimed less. I had that backwards. That's what I was saying. A lot of stuff I was saying earlier, but a lot of the facts, going to different states and doing this thing.
Bro, that's like killing 2 people a week.
That's what I was saying earlier, man. It's like 1,000 people between the two of them. They were like driving all over the country and they were just random. I found this like site that some guy like us, a regular guy, went and did an interview with Otis. Pretty sure it was Otis, and he said like the craziest shit about the boy butt is similar to girl butt, and I would always, he said some shit like he liked the little boys, like the 12-year-olds, or as young as 12, because he can make that Peter jizz all night. So
what?
He would be like fucking like some random kid. He said he would just travel around and find like a kid to steal. He would steal them, and he would like butt rape them constantly, and he would like jack off the kid, make the kid like jizz all night, and then he would kill him and like toss him out. And he would do that this guy. Look at his face.
He would jerk the little kid off?
Yeah.
How was the little kid getting hard while he's getting raped?
Manipulating shit, I've heard Tyler Perry said shit like, I felt ashamed because my body betrayed me. Meaning like, it's wrong, but like when it's happening to you,
Wow.
It's still happening.
Just mind fucked me with that.
It's not just, it's one of those things. Like you're still
There's
a kid,
dick penetrating my brain right now.
And then that's another reason like it's fucked up for the kid because it fucks with your brain.
Right before you die too.
And then like now because of what happened, because your body, Tyler Perry put it like his body betrayed him, or however you put that. So now you think you're gay.
Yeah.
Even though it was just some fucking asshole but then he keeps doing it, and then you like it. Yeah. Because, it's still a good feeling or whatever.
The brother killer episode that we did where
it's like,
dude,
you're not actually gay. You might be, I don't know,
right.
But like you're probably not, I don't know, statistically, right? 1 in 3. I don't know what the statistic is. I don't know. Don't make me sound ignorant. But he would say shit like that. He said that he would when they were driving around together, because at the same time when they were competing against each other, him and the other guy, Lucas had a 15-year-old with him, like his cousin, or it was his cousin. Yes, his cousin. Like she was with him, like traveling around when he'd go off and like murder people, drive around, but they were supposed to be married. But apparently she wanted to get laid all the time, and he didn't want to do as much laying her. He would get enraged if he didn't have a man eventually. So shit was like, I had all these fucking notes.
Dysfunction, man.
No, it's fucked up, man. Like, and this is what happens when you treat your kids like trash.
Like dude.
When you don't and you know what? It ain't even that. Just treat them the bare minimum and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I would think. You're not going to produce the most awesome people, maybe, but Jesus Christ,
not going to be fucking
don't beat them.
Psychopathic, jerking little kids off.
Yeah, man. Preferably little, like, well, it wasn't just kids either. That's the thing. It was like grown men.
Women, too.
Women. Whatever.
Fucking.
Shooting, stabbing, choking, getting the money. It was about survival. That's how they survived. That was their job. It was their job.
Yeah.
It literally was their job. And it was fun for them. All over the country, man. That's why he said 600, because it was all over the country. They knew that if they did a couple and then left the state, so they did it like all over the country, there would be no real pattern to follow.
Yeah.
But they also didn't corroborate all of the things that they said. Some of the shit they said didn't add up.
Yeah, because they were using it as another way to monetize.
The tool you said.
Yeah.
To be together,
yeah. Get police excited about.
Be in love.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Beat it in the head with a tire tool.
It was all horror beyond belief. The tale they spun was incredible, but their confessions raised more questions than answers.
My father was laying in the floor right inside this door.
8 years after his father was shot and beaten to death at this Florida gas station, Sheriff John McDaniel was no closer to solving the mystery.
Yeah, it brings back memories.
Then, A break. A call came in from a Florida law enforcement officer.
He said, Johnny Mac, was your father killed in a service station, like convenience store? Yes. In a displaced area, a 4-lane highway, the different things he was asking. I don't remember what all the questions were. And I said, yes. He said, I may have something. I'll get back with you.
Sitting in separate prison cells, first Lucas, then Toole confessed to police that they murdered Sheriff McDaniel's father.
I started hitting with a tire tool all in the head. Henry had a 25 automatic. He pulled that gun out and shot him in the head.
What did y'all do then?
Well, Henry got his wallet and threw his wallet down.
In a tape-recorded conversation, Toole accurately described the crime scene, providing police with the kind of information only the killer would know. And then Toole said something else.
And then all of a sudden, Toole, he closed his eyes and he looks back and he says, there wasn't a hand on that left arm. Well, that was never publicized. My father's left hand had been taken off surgically after a gunshot wound in that hand in the 40s.
Imagine meeting your father's killer face to face. Sheriff John McDaniel went to Lucas's Texas jail cell, looked him straight in the eye, and asked, "Did you kill my father?"
He sat there for a little bit and he'd look away and he'd think about it in a minute. He says, that's when he says, I was there when your daddy was killed, but I didn't kill him. I was on the telephone. The hands of death killed your father.
Hands of death. That's what I was talking about earlier.
That's what they call Toole, the hands of death?
No, that's the, it's like a secret society. Apparently there's like this, conspiracy theory, like underworld type of politicians and high-powered people who hire killers to kill specific people.
That's what they think Otis was?
They think both him and the other guy, Lucas, were hired by them, and that's why they went around the country kidnapping. They would kidnap kids for prostitution, sex slave shit.
Oh, and like
for sacrifice and ritual. They would kidnap women for snuff films, and they would kill specific men, including police chiefs or whatever, police chiefs' fathers.
Yeah. Which he was a cop too, because he lost his
hands of death. Apparently they were sworn in. Either Otis was part of it or Lucas was part of it, and then one of them brought each other in, and they had to like have sex with somebody and then like kill somebody.
Why do people like that get arrested though, if they have so much like power brokers? Or
say again?
If you're working for politicians and powerful people, power brokers, right? Why would you go to jail?
I mean, I guess it's not absolute power, I guess.
You still get caught.
It's elements, which is, I think all of this conspiracy theory stuff, like the CIA does this and the FBI does that. I bet you both sides are true. I bet you they do. It's just like faction. It's just people, if like me and you worked at the FBI with like two other people, and it's like,
it's like the Mindhunter shit.
We could just do this and make a bunch of money and just not tell anybody. We're the only ones watching this. Like, fuck it. But we work for the FBI, so if we get caught, or if somebody outside of this office finds out, then they're going to say you see what I'm saying? They're going to blame us. So I think all of this shit's true. Like, it happens all the time. It's just sometimes you get caught, sometimes you don't.
I mean, you have sociopaths at all levels of government. That's what they were saying in Mindhunter too.
For sure.
At all levels of society,
In every job, man, there's always an asshole who wants to like not do what you're supposed to do. Not following the correct protocol.
Named a sadistic cult, the Hands of Death hired them to kill, sacrificing their victims and eating their flesh. The stories were outrageous.
Yeah, Otis's favorite thing to eat is testicles. Fry them up. They're really good. He doesn't like
when in Rome.
He doesn't like the vagina lips because they're too rubbery, he says. Yeah,
balls and vagina lips made of the same. It kind of looks like the same.
Apparently not. Apparently they don't taste the same when you cook them.
Damn.
According to that guy.
Connoisseur of the shit.
As I eat my Doritos.
Father's missing hand. the murder weapon.
He was for real. It was for real. It was not, he couldn't have been making this up.
Toole and Lucas were indicted and charged with the murder of Sheriff McDaniel's father. But not all of their confessions would be so convincing to police. In Jacksonville, there were 8 unsolved cases, and the deadly duel of Lucas and Toole wanted the credit.
Law enforcement believed that if you're going to confess, you must be guilty. Why would you confess? And we just didn't understand how these individuals work. We didn't understand the personality profile of a person that could do that.
Could Ottis Toole have killed hundreds of people? And what about Adam Walsh? Was this self-professed serial killer the face behind Florida's most famous murder mystery?
Lots of memories about him, how kind he was to everybody. He was the light of everybody's life, and he certainly was of mine. I waited my whole life.
Cover your ears, Peens.
Memories are all John Walsh has left because on July 27, 1981, 6-year-old Adam was kidnapped from a mall in Hollywood, Florida.
We're the parents of Adam Walsh, who's been missing since yesterday noon from the Hollywood Sears Mall on Hollywood Boulevard. 6.5 years old.
Reve Walsh, his mother, left Adam here, right at a new video game display, while she went a few aisles away to check out a lamp that was on sale. She left him for just a moment. And in that heart-stopping moment, Adam was gone. John Walsh could never forget that panicked call from his wife.
I went back, he wasn't there, John. No one would help me. They told me to go to customer service and page him. I went, they wouldn't help me. I'm furious, I'm crying. I've called the police and no one has come for 20 minutes. Not a cop has shown up here. I said, I'll be there in 2 minutes.
Adam vanished without a trace. Had he simply wandered off, or was it something more sinister? When the sun came up, the Walshes were back at the mall again.
They asked if I had heard anything yet. And I had the picture up in my visor. I pulled it down. I says, we're looking for him, and we'll find him.
With each passing day, a paralyzing fear took hold.
I am prepared to offer a substantial reward for any information leading to the safe giving up of Adam. And to any of the people out there that might be holding Adam, we are prepared to negotiate ourselves with them for a safe release of Adam.
Police were baffled. How could a little boy disappear from a crowded store in the middle of the day? The parking lot full of shoppers. The police station just across the street. Who could pull off such a crime and not leave a single clue behind?
Police station was across the street. It took them 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah, 1 minute. Nobody's come. What? He also said he'd be there in 2 minutes. I think there's a lot of I doubt it took them 20 minutes. I doubt it was that long. She was probably just panicking.
Then,
you know what I mean? He didn't get inside in 2 minutes.
Discovery.
Even if you were outside, you weren't there in 2 minutes. Yeah. You got to walk to where you were run or whatever it's going to take you. Anyway.
Just trying to say, John Walsh is not a fast runner.
I think they're freaked out parents, and John Walsh is mad slow. You know, is what it is. You can't be fast. You can't be good at everything.
Not at that age.
The worst that we could have imagined happened.
Adam's head was found in a canal about 125 miles north of the mall.
We think we gave it our best effort to bring him back. I just wish it had a happier ending.
Adam evidently was too good for this world. He was much greater than this world.
What kind of a monster could commit such a wicked act? The Hollywood Police Department began to search for suspects, beginning with a list of known sexual predators, and then moved closer to people who might have known Adam.
A lot of murders are perpetrated by people that have association with the victim of some sort, whether it be family or close friend. So it's obvious that anyone close to Adam was a person of interest, so to speak, and that included the parents, John and Reve.
Rumors ran rampant. The Walshes were brought in for questioning, given a lie detector test, and then cleared. Adam Walsh's killer was still free, roaming the streets.
This person is fully capable of doing it again.
John Walsh had no idea how prophetic those words would be. 2 years later, a two-bit arsonist behind bars for burning down a couple of buildings in Jacksonville, Florida, would drop a bombshell. He claimed he wanted to come clean about the murder of a little boy.
He made admissions that he had killed a young boy from the Fort Lauderdale area and killed him and took him and dumped his body. Very similar to what we believed happened with Adam.
What he recounted, the things he said he did, were enough to make even the most hardened cop's blood run cold.
In his words, Adam just came willingly with him to a certain point, to where he decided that he was safe to grab him without anyone seeing him and threw him in his car.
He said that July afternoon, he locked Adam inside his 1971 Cadillac and drove off towards his home in Jacksonville. Along the way, Adam started crying, so he punched him in the face. At some point, he pulled off the road, used a machete, and decapitated Adam. He said he drove around with Adam's head and eventually tossed it into a canal. Adam's head was found at mile marker 130. His body was never recovered. This little boy had no chance when faced with so deranged a killer as Ottis Toole.
His name is really Ottis? I thought that was a miss. I heard that on the text-to-talk algorithm thing that I used, and also Kimberly said Ottis.
Yeah, it's Ottis.
Fuck is a Ottis?
The fuck is this? Have you seen his face?
Ottis, though? It's Otis, right? It's spelled Otis.
Nah, Ottis.
There's two T's?
That's a southern, like, fucking...
That shit is weird.
This whole thing, his whole, like...
You know what's the creepiest and the most understanding? Well, one of the creepiest? No. So, when they talk, especially the Adam part, they never mention, like, the sexual stuff. They just go, or they go, they double talk. Or not double talk, they double say something like, he walked away with Adam, and then he threw his head in the canal. But it was like he did a lot of like other stuff with Adam for a while, because it was like 2 weeks later. It was like 2 weeks of bad shit going on, real bad, punching him in the face because he was crying, and then like raping him. And then,
I think he brought it back to like a trailer. Did some shit to him in the trailer that drove him around. Yeah.
Be scared of him. He was a weird looking individual.
Thanks.
The way he carried himself, the way he looked, the way he communicated.
Toole wrote letters to the media and Disney World, boasting about his evil
Why would you write
acts.
Disney?
The words,
write Disney.
Attention, Disney World.
like you owe me a check, Disney.
Dear Disney.
are chilling. I'm the man who kidnapped, raped, murdered, and cut up Adam Walsh. I really love to rape and kill, and I'm awfully good at it. Maybe the best in the business.
He thought it was a job.
He even wrote Adam's father.
I read the letter and threw up in the bathroom when I was showed that letter. I mean, here's a guy that admitted to me in a letter that he had murdered my son. I have the letter. What he did to him, and he wanted to $5,000.
Was it an evil boast?
He wanted the money.
How many had Toole and his partner actually killed? How could the police be
Oh,
sure?
the reward.
He wanted the reward money.
Wow.
Oh, my God. Come on.
The nerve of this guy.
Well, like, to your point, if we're being objective, technically you owe me $5,000, homie.
Yeah, bro.
Like, didn't I tell you where your son was? I'm looking in the
Yeah, you want
bylaws.
truth. You want the truth.
That's fucked up. Nah, fuck that. You don't get none of that shit. We're going to start cutting pieces of your body off until you don't have anything left. And then maybe we'll kill you.
I absolutely believe in evil. I've met it firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand. I believe that good and evil walks this planet.
Sitting in their prison cells, Ottis Toole in Florida and his soulmate Henry Lee Lucas in Texas were willingly filling in the blanks to hundreds of unsolved murder mysteries across the country.
Well, some of them, Henry would cut his throat.
I'm glad I was an ugly baby / ugly kid growing up.
So you didn't get kidnapped?
Maybe that's ugly is important. Like it's a protector.
I don't think just pretty kids got kidnapped. I think you're getting tricked by the media and Adam Walsh.
Yeah, I am, because you think that's the narrative. You always think that's the narrative.
They prey on the weak.
Yeah, the skinny little cute kids, not the little chubby fat kids with a loud mouth.
Well,
that might bite you.
A loud person that'll bite you is not weak.
That's true.
So whether you're big or small or whatever, but
I got forearm strength.
That's another thing.
And I'm not getting hard while you're jerking me off, bro.
I will say
protective measures.
I will say that you never know what happens with getting kidnapped, but I know that I am less of a threat to get kidnapped than say my girlfriend, just because I'm more of a problem to get into the car and shit like that. So they're gonna look for people who are by themselves, drunk, otherwise weaker. The straggler.
Should you? This is a joke, but also some honesty. Should you pretend like you're enjoying the shit so maybe you can get them to be like, oh, I'm just like you?
There's a movie called Red Sparrow with Jennifer Lawrence where she's like a Russian
I remember that
agent, and there was a moment where she got raped in the shower, and then she told the guy, said get over it. So a little while later, there was a moment where the boss was trying to get the guy who raped Red Sparrow, Jennifer Lawrence, to get information out of her, basically to rape her again. But this time Jennifer Lawrence took all her clothes off and was like, well, let's go, let's do it. And he couldn't get hard. Hit her with the fucking reverse psychology.
Yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying.
Me, I don't know. I'm never going to be in a situation that I can think of where I got to worry about getting raped. All I know is, knock on wood, all I know is that I'm never going to give it up. Never going to say yeah.
Until he punches your lights
until he knocks me out.
His fucking fist.
Until you knock me out. Yeah. Knock me out. And then hopefully I don't wake up. Because when I wake up, it's the same thing all over again.
Join my butt while I'm knocked out unconscious.
Because other than that,
better for you.
None of that's happening. Not while I'm up.
My butt's a lot better when I'm knocked out.
Not up and around. Snowfall. You ever see that?
We talked about
last episode or something like that. That
episode at the beginning.
Hey, man.
It's just like,
it was like, I don't think he's beating him. Give me that goddamn. And he got the stacks. Shit was fucked up, man.
Man, life, bro.
Roads, and some of them I done the same way. And
a two-man nationwide crime wave that left behind a trail of fear.
First thing that's going to happen is you're going to have every law enforcement agency in the region wanting to interview these guys to clear their own cases, which is exactly what happened.
A number of things were successfully solved as a result of talking with those guys. A lot of law enforcement officers benefited from talking with those people.
I believe that.
And some families benefited too. At least had the satisfaction of knowing the men who killed their loved ones were behind bars. 210 victims in 26 states. Case closed.
That's a lot of work, dog.
So they hoped.
That's a lot of work.
It was an odd way to solve a case. Police had the killers. Now they had to match them to the crimes.
We've done cases from the crime scene out, but not backwards like that. It was an interesting, unique experience.
That's an interesting, unique shirt.
Easy. Most of the confessions were Jane Doe's, unidentified bodies. But remember that murder in Bonifay, Carolyn Peoples? She was carrying groceries into her home. Toole said he and Lucas were waiting inside. Adding even more detail, Toole told police his teenage niece Becky and his young nephew Frank were waiting outside.
So Becky is the one who ended up going on the road with Lucas.
Before the girl
they went. They didn't start
According to
fucking
police, Becky left behind a pair of gloves, and Frank remembered seeing a set of drums off in another room, adding support to the killer's confession.
But they had the kids in the car while they murdered people.
Why would they bring
sometimes.
children along?
Toole took the responsibility to be their guardian, so to speak.
Wow.
And
it's going to be a responsible adult.
It was a good
love, bro.
I'm not trying to get them to foster.
Several times. Nobody would think anything about it with those children with them.
Oh, it was a cover.
Toole and Lucas
maybe.
reportedly traveled with the kids
I think, like
as
you
far
said,
west as California, then
even
north
him
and east.
has the capacity to, like, the family thing. You said something about the family thing before. It was important to
This
him.
is what I'm saying. There's some type of compassion.
Yeah.
To Maryland.
But, you know, they were in the car while he's raping and killing people in the car.
They carried a cache of weapons with them: 22s, 38s, knives, a tire iron, and a rope. They camped in the woods and stayed in missions when they could, always looking for handouts. When they needed more, detectives said they would rob and kill, sometimes for food, sometimes just for kicks. They traveled around in junk cars, abandoning them on the side of the road when they broke down. Then they'd ride the rails back to their home in Jacksonville, Florida. From their prison cells,
They're literally like
Lucas
hopping
and Toole
trains.
took police down their bloody
That's how
trail.
come they don't get caught,
The
man.
cops didn't know what they had on their hands.
I heard some of the details regarding the homicides that made Charles Manson sound like Tom Sawyer.
Why were they talking? Was it an attack of conscience or something more cynical? Police flew Lucas across the country and took Toole on local field trips to the scenes of their alleged crimes. For men who saw only prison walls, they were living a high life.
He liked us to feed him good, and he would point out a Kentucky Fried Chicken place. he liked chicken because he never got any in prison.
The cops, the killers, and the media got caught up in a feeding frenzy. Everyone wanted more, and Toole was eager to oblige by bumping up his murder count.
Well, I done quite a bit by myself.
How many did you by yourself?
I'd say about 125.
Now what is he? He is now the center of national attention, regional attention, and he feels good about it. I mean, he's now gained something that he's never gained in his entire life, and that's validation and recognition and praise for doing the right thing.
Man.
The two no-account drifters
Validation.
basked in the glow of celebrity.
They wanted to be together. They were lovers. They believed that if they could get put in jail together, they could live as homosexual lovers in jail, have all of this sensationalism and notoriety, and essentially be the king of the hill in prison for the rest of their lives. That was a motivator.
Maybe we can come up with Lucas and Toole as being a suspect in your particular area.
In 1984, police officers formed a task force to examine the killer's confessions, looking for answers to hundreds of unsolved cases. There was little, if any, physical evidence to link Toole and Lucas to the crime scenes. It was the 80s, and there were no DNA matches. The confession was the key to most cases.
A confession was considered to be the best and highest piece of evidence that you could actually have on a person at the time. So, and it was fairly common for law enforcement everywhere in the country. The confession was the bread and butter of the case.
Yet some of the stories didn't add up. The killers seemed uncertain about key facts of their crimes. Still, Toole and Lucas kept talking to anyone willing to listen. Each confession was more sensational than the last, more unbelievable. The only way to find out the truth was to uncover physical evidence, something the police had largely neglected to do.
Confessions led this case, these particular cases where I think that hurt by not pursuing all of the leads and physical evidence and other evidence at the time.
Yet there was some solid evidence left in the very neighborhood where the murderous pair had lived. Not a bloody weapon, but a paper trail. A payroll record, canceled checks that would prove if Toole and Lucas were telling the truth. The answer would come back to haunt investigators in the Adam Walsh case. Ottis Toole told police he loved to burn buildings.
He's an arsonist, we know that.
Getting caught for burning down 2 boarding houses sent Toole to prison for 15 years. But it was a confession by his partner in crime, Henry Lee Lucas, that sent Toole to death row.
Lucas telling, sort of implicating Toole as setting this fire intentionally, kind of piqued the detectives to reopen that particular case.
Lucas claimed an elderly man who had died in the fire was someone Toole knew, and the arson was premeditated murder. When arson investigators went back and looked, a liquid accelerant was found.
Here you have a case where you have a crime that he's been convicted before for. It fits his profile. You have something a little bit more compelling. Now, does that mean that he did that? Not necessarily. By today's standard, that still is not enough.
But in 1984, it was more than enough. Whether Lucas's confession was true or not, Toole was convicted and sentenced to die. Then, in the ultimate betrayal, Toole's lover, Lucas, murdered Toole's favorite niece in a fit of rage. Toole vowed revenge.
I'll kill her myself, I would.
Because?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he killed my own flesh and blood, and I know how it feels now, you know.
Wow.
It really hurts.
So now you realize how it feels?
It took him a while.
Love.
A lot of while. Well, he said only did 125, not the 600 that he did when he was driving around, according to him.
Yeah, so Lucas was a fucking serial murderer and a rat.
Oddly, even after Lucas turned on Toole, they continued to back each other up on even more sensational stories. In a tape-recorded phone conversation, they went so far as to claim cannibalism.
And you know, one time you some white from them bodies and I did too.
Yeah, I know.
That cutting up like meat, you know.
Well, I've seen bodies cut up worse than you've ever seen a body cut up.
Tastes like real meat when it got barbecue sauce on it, don't it?
Well,
The gruesome claims, the sheer volume of confessions made for stunning headlines, but the outrageousness of the claims left some with doubts. Finally, an investigative reporter for the Dallas Times-Herald did what many police did not. He followed a paper trail that showed many of the claims of murder were lies. He documented that Toole and Lucas were in Delaware and Maryland at the very time they were supposed to have killed 3 women in Oklahoma and Colorado. And although police credited the duo with 4 murders on the West Coast, while sales receipts and employment records placed them on the East Coast in Florida. And on, Toole and Lucas's credibility became severely damaged. Now, closed cases were quietly reopened.
We were concerned if it was true, because we had cautious flags up that they were, would brag about something that might not have occurred. They may have read it in the paper, or somebody may have come along in an interview and told them about it.
And then there were those 8 unsolved murders in Jacksonville, a spate of killings laid at the feet of those 2.
We did work
Duval County
and clearly determined that it was not Ottis Toole or Henry Lucas.
And what about the Adam Walsh case, Florida's most famous unsolved murder mystery?
I'll always be the father of a murdered child. I'll always be heartbroken. I'll always be angry.
Even before the damning evidence that Toole had lied on other cases, there were problems with Toole's confession to Adam's murder. It was an odd coincidence that he confessed just one day after a movie about Adam's killing aired on television. Toole had access to a TV in prison.
Adam!
Was it possible that he picked up details from the movie to make police think he was guilty? The movie showed the kidnapping took place at a Sears store. Adam was inside at the toy department. These same details were in Toole's confession. Toole also claimed Henry Lee Lucas was with him when he snatched Adam from the mall. But that was impossible. Lucas was in jail on an old auto theft warrant. Now he changed his story.
And then he went on to admit that he alone committed the crime, and he alone killed the child, and he alone disposed of the remains.
How do we know?
And there were several versions of how he disposed of the remains as well.
The case was made even more difficult by Toole's actions. He'd confess, then recant.
He confessed several times, and recanted several times, and then confessed to it again, and then recanted again. That's a problem, especially since you can't place that person, being Ottis Toole, with physical evidence. You can't place him anywhere, anywhere in this crime.
Ottis Toole told other prisoners in the prison, because I talked to him, they said he loved to play with the cops. He loved to play with them. He'd give them enough information to make them serious, and then he'd recant it and watch them scramble around like idiots.
Was it a game? To find out, police tried to trick him by driving him around and showing him different sites where Adam might have been kidnapped. Toole passed the test.
He was taken to other Sears malls, and not just the one here in Hollywood, to see if he would identify the one that he said that he conducted, where he did this crime. And he did, according to what I read, correctly point out the Hollywood Mall, right across the street from the police station.
Detectives said he did have access to a weapon, a machete or bayonet, and it was the type of weapon that was used to kill Adam.
There were similarities in the instrument that we believe were used, how many times he needed to strike the body to do what eventually happened with the body.
And the medical examiner said Adam had been punched in the face. In Toole's confession, he mentioned hitting the little boy.
There was similar trauma to the remains where he indicated that he had struck the child.
Detectives tracked down the car Toole said he used to kidnap Adam.
The vehicle was recovered and it was impounded, it was tested, evidence was attempted to be recovered from the vehicle, and it was in fact bloody carpet that was in fact recovered from the back seat of the vehicle.
But back in the 1980s, there was no DNA testing, and they couldn't prove it was Adam's blood in Toole's car. Without the murder weapon, an eyewitness, and with Toole's recanting his confession, the police didn't believe they had enough to charge him with murder.
But really, to God's truth, I really didn't kill that kid. I really didn't kill that kid.
John Walsh doesn't buy it. He doesn't think Toole is a mass murderer, but believes Toole killed his son.
He was a penny-ante little chicken. He's only famous for killing Adam. That's all.
Talk that shit, John. Let him know.
He didn't kill 50
Fuck
victims,
you.
100 victims. He wasn't
You little
smart.
piece
He
of
didn't do this.
penny-ante
He was a
chicken
stumbling,
shit.
bumbling, low-life drifter.
Yo.
Chicken cutlet looking
Who
ass.
picked the wrong little boy.
Yeah, he really did look old as shit, though.
Truth or lies?
You know what I mean? That fucking liver cirrhosis will get you, homie.
Bro, did Ottis Toole kill him or not?
We don't know.
Bro.
I didn't know he confessed the day after the shit aired on TV.
Dahmer was in Miami. Hollywood's not that far from Miami.
Yeah, but to Dahmer's point, he would just tell you that he did it.
Yeah, but how can you believe any of these guys? You know,
like playing
maybe
with
Dahmer
police.
did, because Dahmer got accused of killing men. Killing a little boy is a whole other thing in jail.
I believe this guy.
Yeah.
He did it.
You think Ottis did it?
Yeah.
Why would he lie so much? Maybe
'Cause
he just
he
did
likes
so
playing
many
with the
murders.
cops.
Oh, okay. Maybe he's playing with cops.
Thinks it's funny. You know how stupid people think dumb jokes are funny?
Yeah.
And they're just like this, you know, like,
Yeah.
you got shoes on that have check marks on them. And you're just like, is that even funny? Look at that with his red hair.
Yeah.
You got red hair. It's like, yeah, I got red hair. Shit is just funny to people that's not funny.
Perception. Everybody has their
Now
perception.
he's in jail and he's just like, I told him I was guilty.
Oh, man.
I'm guilty, but I'm going to tell him I'm not guilty.
This is a scary motherfucker,
Fucking
man.
goober ass. Yeah, that's what's crazy. Or scary is that he's crazy. I just don't fuck with crazy, man.
He's
Don't
really
do it.
crazy.
Don't do it. If you got any option, just play along as long as you can till you get by the door and then dip out.
Yeah. Let him penetrate your butt a couple times.
No, we're not penetrating butts. We're not doing that. You know what I mean? Unless we like that, and then we do it. But it's always our choice. It's our butt, our choice.
Well, I think the moral of the story
Here we go.
is we got to be good parents, all right? We got to be better parents. We got to love more. We got to learn how to love more.
I think that's literally how are we at episode 50 yet? This might be episode 50.
I think we're at this is episode
Is it episode
49
50?
or 50.
Well, either one. I think we finally got the moral of the story correct. took a while, but yes, be good parents, or you're gonna raise little psychopaths that rape and kill between 20 and 600 people.
Yeah.
So
we also found out that woman butt is the same as child butt,
according to a sociopathic, perverted rapist.
I mean, you got to kind of take his word. He's done it a lot.
He feels like he's the best in his field. I think he's the best in the business.
Best in the business.
Best.
He wrote Disney like, "Yo, Disney, check me out,
I'm
God.
the best." Yo,
check
that says
me
a lot.
out.
That says a lot, dog.
Yeah.
He wrote Disney. He said he was like, "Yo, Disney, I know y'all doing some perverted shit over there. I know y'all some pedos over there, but check me out. I got the skills to pay the bills. Best in the business.
I got the skills to pay the bills.
I got the skills to pay the bills."
Well, listen, it's freshproducefloridamedia@gmail. If you decide to ask us any questions, I'm really excited of all the feedback. We've been recently posting clips, so check out the new clips that have been posted.
Yeah, stop arguing. You gotta argue. I'm not in it to argue. I'm just,
opinions.
Just having conversations.
There's conversations, opinions.
I'm trying to pull you into arguments, dog.
So we're not trying to offend anybody, especially the Walsh family. We love you.
Or Disney.
Outside of them, Disney, CIA, FBI, government officials, outside of those people, if you're offended, go fuck yourself.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Slowly.
That's a
Don't be fucking people and hurting people. Okay? No aggressive sex unless they're into that.
Say it in Spanish.
No haga sexual agresivo porque no es bueno para la estima y el espíritu.
I agree. I co-sign.
My name is Fredo Peens.
My name is Thompson.
It's the Fresh